Welcome to YouTooSpain, broadcasting live on YouTube. On today's show, we'll be asking our friend and international financial advisor, Lucia Melgarejo, all about the impact the UK elections have had on your financial plans and, more importantly, what you can expect over the coming months and what the opportunities are for you to take advantage of. So, say hello to both of us on the live chat, and if you're watching the video back after the show, there will be chapter headings below so that you can easily scroll through and find exactly what you need. Look out for loads of useful information from beginning to end. Stick around for the whole thing, why don't you? You're all very welcome to YouTooSpain. Still alive? Let's dance. Groovy, baby. Right then, just before we get chatting, don't forget to sign up for free to the monthly newsletter. It's free newsletter and it's from our website, YouTooSpain.com, and it's your chance to find out about the many articles and resources that are there just for you. So sign up to benefit from that. What is it? It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. You'll hear that more than once today. So without further ado, let's meet my wonderful guest. It is Lucia Melgarejo. Good morning, Lucia.
Good morning, Skatz. How are you? Good morning, everybody.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, how are we all doing? It's hot, hot, hot here at the moment, isn't it?
Very hot, very hot. So please keep fresh and hydrated.
Absolutely, and keep those fans on. Apologies if anybody can hear that whooshing in the background. We've both got fans on. I'll just click on this. It's showing now 31 degrees on my fan here in the office, so I'm not turning it off, not for anyone. But here we are, and we'll say hello to everybody on the live chat in a moment. But let me just say, Lucia has been on the show a few times before, haven't you? And she's been so helpful and popular. So I'm very happy to announce that she'll be on the show every 3 months from now on as our resident financial advisor. And also Black Tower, her company, well, not your company, but the company you work for, are kindly sponsoring this show. So huge thank you to them for their support. And you can get in touch with Lucia at Black Tower via the link in the video description below, as well as on the partner directory page on our website. So there we go. Thank you to Black Tower. And let's see who's on the live chat, who's signed up already. Mike Ripper, good morning all. On time at last. Yes, have you been missing the beginning? And Paul Cook says morning all. Anton Kez, good morning you lovelies. And morning from Wolverhampton, Adam Farmelo. And good morning to those of you who've not said hello on the live chat yet, who are joining us. We've got a few already on there. So while they're joining up, just one final bit of related information. If you're moving to Spain or buying a house in the not too distant future, the exchange rates between the pound and the euro have been excellent over the last few weeks, and they've topped off up at about 1.19 or something. I'm not sure what they are this morning. So yeah, good exchange rates. So today is a good day to get the special link below and enjoy a free account and advice from another one of our sponsors, the lovely people at Smart Currency Exchange, whom I recommend. But promise me, you will use that link below to get in touch with them, because that supports YouTooSpain at no extra cost to you at all. It's a what? It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. So let's get on with the topic of the day. And we'll begin with some general rules, I think, for becoming a resident, in particular, what forms or modelos need to be completed with regard to your finances, Lucia.
Yeah, it's good to cover that. Just as a refresher, I will go quickly because there are quite a few, as probably the audience already know. And now is the time when you come to live, if you come to live in Spain, you won't be classed as tax resident because our financial year is January till December. So we have passed the half of the year. So anybody that is now coming and haven't been here prior to during this current year, 2024, then you would be non-resident tax. And there are one tax that you will need to file in case you have a holiday home. So if you come to live in your plan is to come to live permanently in the holiday home that you bought previously, then you would have had been filling one of the forms, which is modelo 216 or 210. That is the non-residency tax for your holiday home. That's for non-residency tax. In regards to residents, to tax residents, so for somebody that has been here since the beginning of the year, or over 183 days, then you will need to do your income tax, annual income tax returns, which are aware this year for people that came last year. So it started in May. So for 2025, we will be declaring our income during 2024, and that would be, as I said, deadline 30th of June 2025 for income tax. That is called Modelo 100. And that is where you declare your worldwide income. So if you receive pensions, if you have any rental income, any source of income, dividends, capital gains tax, that's where we need to do our taxes. Then we have Modelo 714, which is for wealth tax. And it depends on the autonomous community that you are in. It varies because local parties tend to give you allowances to your assets. For example, in Andalusia, which is where I am located, you have up to 300,000 exemption on your main residency per person, and also 700,000 euros. I'm talking about euros all the time. For investments per person as well. So then over that, if you are wealthy, if your total wealth is over 2 million euros, is when you need to file your your wealth tax. Then it goes up to 2.8%, the percentage on the wealth tax. Okay, with those two exemptions that I mentioned already. Then you have a new tax that was introduced last year for high net worth clients that have over 3 million euros. That is solidarity tax. That deadline is as well the end of June every year. And solidarity tax goes from 1.7% up to 3.5%. And again, that is something that has to be done for residents. Then we have Modelo 720, which is the declaration of foreign assets. When somebody has over 50,000 euros in, for example, a property or in an investment or in a pension outside of Spain, you need to declare that. It's not a tax to pay, it's just an informative document that we need to complete, being residents here in Spain and having something elsewhere. Okay. That is to be completed before the end of March. 31st of March every year is when we need to do that. Also, there was implemented last year Modelo 721, which is similar as the one that I explained, but it's for cryptocurrencies. So somebody that has over 50,000 euros in cryptocurrencies, you need to declare them on that Modelo 721. So those generally are the forms that we need to do when we are tax residents here. I would like to mention briefly inheritance tax as well, that we need to be aware of. And that goes, it depends on when you come to live. Spain is divided by regions. So in certain regions, you have exemptions and you have allowances, such as in, for example, Madrid, Murcia, and Andalusia. You have exemption of up to or an allowance of up to €1 million in between spouses and direct descendants, and anything above that million is exempt on 99%. So it's not that we don't have inheritance tax, but of course we have a big exemptions there. Please do check depending on where you come to live, in which region, so we can be just telling you exactly the ones that are going to be affecting you in the future. And then we have also something to mention in regards to the Spanish wills. For somebody that is coming to live in Spain, it's very important that has a Spanish will written in both languages, Spanish and English, usually. So, and that gets sent to the central registration in Madrid. So if something may happen to yourselves, then that is registered, and then you don't have to go into into a long process and complicated process with the difficulties of the language and so on. So that's something that I advise in particular.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's something I've done recently as well. That was, and feel safer. Not that I've got many assets to spread around afterwards, but still has to be done. Excuse me. Okay, then. So that's all of the modelos that you need to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent. Right then. So I've already said win twice. No, that's the third time today. So the UK election, of course, was won by a landslide with a cherry on top. We're not going to talk politics. We're not going to get into that, but we are going to talk about the impact of that result from a financial advisor's perspective. So, Lucia, has there been an immediate market impact, and has the scale of the victory been important from your point of view?
Well, I have to say that because we knew that the elections were going to be happening on the 4th of July, and pretty much it was clear which party was going to be into the power. The markets already discounted that, which means that they took into consideration the Labour Party being in the power in order to not to have a big impact on the markets. It's been very, very little, I can tell you, around 1% onto the markets when they were confirmed the Labour Party was the winner. And also with the usually the imminent impact is with the currency, but in this case as well it hasn't been that big because it's been going around 118, as you mentioned already, 119. So it's been on that band already for quite some weeks. So also nothing really relevant to mention there. Mm-hmm. In general terms, politics and investments are two completely different things. Of course, they do affect when it's a big change that would be happening or something that wasn't expected. But in general terms, we are not guiding our investment route on the political situation that is happening around us, because this year is a busy year with politics and things that are happening, elections everywhere. So we had already the French election, the Italian election, with the European Central Bank being re-elected, coming up the US. So yeah, it's going to be a busy one from the politics point of view.
Yeah, there's probably going to be more important information when it's interest rates happen around about September. We were talking about that before we came on air. So I mean, there's some things that sound like that's going to be important. Like, for example, the economic growth has been said to be a priority for the new government, and also probably more importantly a reset. I don't know what this means. This is just rhetoric, really, but a reset of the UK's relationship with Europe, and that sounds to me like it's good news for investors, because maybe to do with more stability and more options for trade that's not going to cost as much, more easy routes to do that. Do you think that's going to be important?
I would say that the more communication in between the UK and the European Union, the better for everybody, from all point of view. So, and even more important for people that are watching the show now or will be watching it later, people that are wanting to come to live here. The more connections we have, or the more agreements we come into place with the UK, the better. Always for good.
Yes, that is good. They do sound like they want to talk anyway. That's good. So let's get to a more basic question now. And I remember we talked about this the last time you were on the show. Why is it important to have a financial advisor and keep a financial advisor?
Well, from what I just briefly, as you can imagine, or as you know already, because I've been on the show a few times already talking about the modelos, our tax system here in Spain tend to be complicated. We like to make it complicated for everybody that is living here, even for Spaniards. I mean, even to me at the beginning, it was like, oh my God, what is that? So you really need to study hard and be on the top of a lot of things not on a daily basis, but every month there is something that comes up in regards to taxes and what you can be deducting or reducting or allowances. So whenever we have a new elections, local elections in the regions. They like, of course, a very heavy point or starting point for the winner is just to make a change in regards to taxes. So we tend to have those quite often. So that's one of the important bits of having a financial advisor that is regulated and qualified in the country where you are going to be living. Just to mention briefly, Black Tower has licenses, of course, around the world on the main current countries that are being present in, for example, the UK, the US. In European Union, we have the Cyprus license. We have license as well in Gibraltar, in Australia, in Cayman Islands, in Dubai. So we tend, as a company, we tend to have that as a high standard. It's important that you go to a regulated company that is looking after your money, pension, investment, or guiding you on what to do best with your plans, how to go about that. So how to minimize your taxes or how to improve your returns. So that's one of the reasons why you need a financial advisor close to you. Myself personally, I have a European Financial Planner certificate that I got back in 2009. That was at the time when I was working for private banking. And with that, you need to keep on studying on an annual basis and demonstrating the association that you are capable. And also from the ethical point of view, you need to sign a document that says that you haven't had any issue with any court case, or you haven't been into anything that is not black and white, basically, not to go into much detail, which on the Costa del Sol, unfortunately, we have a lot of headlines with many companies that are not really in black and white.
Fair enough. Yes, we won't go into depth about that. Let me just say good morning to Jed, Tierney, Steffi, Lolly P, and Robbo, who've waved to us. Anybody else who's on, do give us a wave on the live chat and say hello. It's lovely to see your names. Okay, so let's find out now what investment types that you recommend at the moment and how they're all doing.
First of all, that they are compliant within the European Union, because don't forget that for somebody that is moving from the US, from the UK, from any other part of the world outside of the European Union, they have to be compliant. That means that the regulator here in Spain, as well as in the European Union, they have to know what type of investments you have. Also, that's a big part of our job, just to make sure that what we are recommending to invest is a compliant and unregulated fund. So just to avoid to go into suspended fund. Unfortunately, I have come across not that much, but I have come across people with existing portfolios that are coming from elsewhere, where they had suspended fund, which means that they stopped trading because they ran out of liquidity. So you have your asset there, but you cannot do anything up until it liquidates. So that's an issue that unfortunately we are facing from time to time with people that are having those type of investments. So please make sure that you are talking to the right. I'm covering as well part of, or a bit of the question before. Sorry to jump and coming back and forth, but yeah, it's important to mention that. So going into the investment exactly, I'm recommending to have diversification always. So not to have all the eggs in the same basket. So you need to have a bit of equities, a bit of bonds, a bit of gold. People like to have gold sometimes. People like to invest into property and to have a rental income. So just to have a diversification of a portfolio within your wealth or within the money that you have available. Also, I'm not very into recommending cryptocurrencies, but of course I do have clients that want to have them. More than happy to talk about that, but that would be on a different show, because it's a deep conversation there. So diversification is key. The more diversified we are, the better. We can have good years with markets going very well. But of course, we can have a year like the COVID 2020. We could have wars around the world that we had a couple of years ago, and we're still on that. So better not to be located on the same areas, just to have it spread. To tell you, I have made some notes here. Sorry to be looking at a piece of paper here, but of course I won't remember them all. So I have been taking a note on what the main indices for the past 12 months have done. So for example, just to talk about the general ones, S&P 500 has done, which is the main index in the US market, has done plus 20%. Then we have also another index, which is the Nasdaq based in the US, which has done plus 23% for the past 12 months, and that's mainly technology sector. We have the MSCI World, which is the top of companies that are within the top 23 developed markets. That's done 16%. We have the FTSE 100, of course, which is done 7% plus. And also we have healthcare index, which is done plus 10%. Global bond market, which is coming into the fixed interest market, is been doing a bit less, or far less, better to say, simply because we have had a big increase on interest rates and very quick during 18 months. So of course the bond market got affected massively by reducing a lot the returns, but now they are starting to come back up. It's good to keep some within a portfolio. So a global bond, for example, in US dollar is doing 4% plus, in euro is plus 2, and in pound is plus 4. Okay, so that's briefly what they've been doing so far for the past 12 months. The key or the information, or the main information to get away is, or to take away, better to say, sorry, would be to be invested. So to look on the long-term investment. We don't advise, or I don't personally advise on something that is for 3 months. I'm trying here to reduce or to minimize taxes and to increase the growth. So we need to look at medium to long term here. So if we are planning to go onto, I don't know, something that you have heard, oh, that company is going to be doing very good, so let's go there and then get out in 3 months, is something that I don't personally advise. So I advise, as I said, in the medium to long term, just to keep your taxes and return in the right level.
Great. Now we have some questions. So I'll get to Jed's question in a minute, but Robbo, first of all, is asking, Lucia, are the Spanish banks offering any high interest deals on savings?
Very rare. I would say Spanish banks are very opposed to be giving away some kind of good rates for
anything.
For investment. Exactly. I didn't wanted to mention that because I'm coming from the banking side. But on the other hand, they are very, very reluctant to do so. Probably you could find a 3 months term deposit of around 2% more or less, or 6 months maximum, not more than that. The type of investment that we recommend, that I do have. Thank you for the question, because you reminded me that I have that written here. The type of deposits that we recommend or advise to go into, they are medium term, as I mentioned already. So they are either 3 years or 5 years, and you can have them for 4.7% for pounds in 3 years, or 4.8% in 5 years. For euro, 3.25 or 3.55. So those are the rates that we are working on at the minute. But again, the minimum term would be 3 years up to 10, but usually it's between 3 and 5 years. I think 5 years investment is more than enough to be renewing that on a regular basis, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Just a quick question that's come to my head. Is there sort of a minimum amount that you need people to be investing before it's worth having a portfolio? The
minimum amount for deposits are 25,000. So anything above that amount in any currency. I mean, we work with the different currencies because we understand that we are international financial advisors. So we have people coming from the US, from Canada, from the UK, and the rest of the world, including the European Union. So we are working mainly with those three currencies. But again, if there is a Norwegian krona or a Danish krona, we have availability for certain deposits there as well.
Great, good to know. Jed's question may be something that you can't answer, but let's put it to you anyway. How is house building doing in Spain? The UK government has proposed that they want 300,000 homes built per year in the UK, and he says I don't know where they're going to get all the tradespeople needed, but that's another point, I suppose. But yeah, do you know about house building? What have the government promised over here?
Not really, I'm afraid. What I can tell you is that the government is likely to promote houses for people that has just started to work. So they like to improve that people that are recently start working, so they have a better access or more access to those to houses that have a price that is pre-set up by the government. So social. I won't say social houses, but it's a sort of that, so I can get a better understanding to you all on that. So they are promoting that. The house, from what I can tell you, because I live in the south of Spain, so and I do go regularly to other provinces within Andalusia, I can tell you that the building is doing well. And talking to real estate agencies that I have as a representative who I work with, and also clients that are onto that market, they are telling me that it's going well. So not a booming part of the year or anything like that. But I'm not the right person to answer to that question. I'm afraid.
Fair enough. It's a lot of the.
It's an impression that I have.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the protests that were going on on the islands, mainly about. That people thought, I mean, the news headlines in the UK were saying they don't like tourists anymore, and they don't like English people buying houses. But actually, it was more to do with the rules of local people and how they could get their housing, because they were being pushed out of the market there. So yeah, exactly. I think efforts are being made.
Yeah, easing a bit the requirements for young people to go into buying a property, because I know that the standards from the bank point of view are very high. You need to be working for a certain amount of years, so you are not able to get out of your parents' house sometimes. Well, that happens around the globe. It's not only in Spain. So that's an issue that we are facing everywhere, pretty much.
And I mean, it's the sort of thing that happened in the UK. Probably more like 20 or 30 years ago. It was more children were moving out of the family home. It's probably further ago than that, but it's probably more recent in Spain because they're more family oriented. Yeah, so more housing needed. Anyway, that was an interesting side topic. We'll get off that. Robbo's saying in the UK he's currently got his money in a bonus saver, and the monthly return is £360. So if I can get something like that with my bank in Spain, it would be great. But like you said, there's nothing really, is there?
We don't have, so the tax system, as I briefly mentioned before, is completely different from the UK. So I understand that you have an allowance and various allowances from where you are liable for any tax due. Here it doesn't work like that. So from capital gains point of view, for example, we don't have any tax relief or any minimum from where you are able to save money free of tax like you do have in the UK from ISAs or any other financial vehicle. Not here, unless you go onto the private pension plan through a bank here in Spain, and a Spanish pension plan where you have up to 1,500 that you can invest into that, and then you get a tax relief from your income tax point of view. However, you need to bear in mind that that money cannot be touched up until you are 67, so you are retired. Okay, so that money is not accessible whatsoever up until retirement age. So you know, you have 1,500 on one hand, but you need to be prepared to forget about the money that you put on a yearly basis there till you are 67. So unfortunately, we don't have anything like that for now.
For now.
That changes.
Of course. So we're about halfway through, maybe even slightly over halfway through. So it's time for our usual short break where we have a quick message from me and my alter egos about the wonderful things available to you as YouTooSpain fans. So take it away, Skatz and friends. Are you getting the most out of YouTooSpain? I don't know. Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's like the Graham Norton show. Bah! There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed with all the information you need, so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here without paying tax. No, Colonel, that's illegal. But you can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully. Well said, Walter. How do I find the videos? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel, darling. And click on the bell, you useless Colonel. There's a playlist here called Video Diaries. Oh, now that is Skatz's thrilling personal story about his life and health in Spain. Still alive! Hashtag FOF. You can support YouTooSpain as well, my darlings, if you think you've learned something valuable, or if you've been entertained. Skatz looks like he needs your support. The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him. Colonel! He's not a very nice man. It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype. Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not. Brexit! Moving on! So how do we support YouTooSpain? Use the QR code in the corner. Or there's a link in the video description below. I can't find it anywhere, darling. In the video description, you idiot. I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery. While you're watching or pausing, below the video, you'll see the title. Just here. Oh, I see it. Not far below that, there's a description of what the video is all about. It says, read more. That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears. What's the information all about? There's contact information for the expert guests and lots of links to other related companies that I recommend. And they help out YouTooSpain if you use those links to get in touch with them. There's so much down below. Does anyone have a pen? No need, Tommy. You can find everything on our website. YouTooSpain.com. And don't forget the Facebook page. And the YouTooSpain community group, where you can talk to other people like you. There's no one like me, sweetie. Thank goodness. Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things. Oh, I do like things. Where's Doogie Dog? That used to be his line. I'm stuck behind a wall. Oh, sorry, Doogie. I'll come and find you after the show. Thank you, Master. Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants. Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio. Well, that was making me feel really hot, watching me in a coat. I think I'm going to have to record a summer version of that one. Brilliant. So thank you, Skatz, Walter, Dick, Tommy, Colonel and Doogie Dog for joining us. If you have any questions for any of them, you can ask in the comments below. So let's see if there's any more questions come in. Steffi is saying on the taxes and modelos, where can I research what these are for the specific regions? I know to employ a Hestor, but I'd like to do the research myself for an overview on various taxes.
If you type on Google the AEAT.es, which is Agencia Estatal Tributaria, there is the official website from the SkatzMan, and there is all the information available.
Tell you what, send me that link after the show,
Sure.
Lucia,
Yeah,
and I'll put it down below the video.
I'll do that.
Brilliant.
And then also you can change it to English as well.
Excellent.
Don't go onto any posts or Facebook comments or anything like that to get information in regards to taxes. Please go to the official website where I usually go.
Excellent. Good to know. And Robbo says he's still waiting for visas. Chris had another client submitted a visa application the day before me and got visa approved the week before last. So not sure what's my hold up. Hopefully they've not lost it. They won't have lost it. It's just sometimes if you're going to move to a different autonomous community, different city, it can take slightly different lengths of time. But don't worry. I know you like worrying, but don't worry. It'll be fine. Wish I could just stroke your hand and help you through it. There we go. Ant and Cares are saying it's a bit off topic, but do you still recommend a specific Apostille company? I haven't got an Apostille company anymore in my links, so I don't know. There was one that I did recommend, but they went off the boil and didn't want to do it anymore. So I'll have to look for another one. I know there are some good ones. There are one or two big ones who are very good, and but I can't remember their names or recommend them right now. But I will look out for that and let you know. Thanks for the question. Okay, let's see. Investment fees was going to be my next question. Tell us about those and what their impact is on any investment.
Okay, from the investment fees or fees in general point of view, of course we do get paid for our job. However, when I set up a meeting with a prospect or a future client, I don't charge for any fee for that, because I need to understand the situation in order for me to be able to look at how can I help that person further, or probably not. Probably is everything right and correct in place, and that's it. What I have come across, and that's why I have asked you, Skatz, to add that question here, is that looking at people that are coming to me to have a financial health check with existing portfolios, is that surprisingly enough, when you look in depth on every single fund where they are invested in, they are asset classes of a specific fund. So you can find them, probably one of those can have around 10 or maybe more, or probably less. An asset class means the minimum amount to be invested in, for example, so that would give you an asset class, or probably the currency where you are invested in. And by looking onto those asset class, they have a different annual management charge for the fund. With going through the institutions that we recommend, or the platforms or the providers that we recommend to have an investment, compliant investment in Spain, investment or pension. When I mention investment, is for both. That means that you have access to institutional funds, which of course an institutional fund, because they have a higher or a bigger amount that they can manage, they reduce massively the annual management charge. So you can have one fund that is called exactly the same, but then the difference is just the letter from the asset class, which might be A, Y, Z, M. So by going probably into the Y one, you could be paying close to 2% annual management charge. And by going into the B share class, you may be paying close to 1%. So by changing those, you are reducing, of course, the annual cost that you don't pay from your own pocket yourself, but that erodes your annual returns. So it's good to have a look into those. And of course, we do charge, and we do have annual management charge within all funds and all providers, because of course it's how they make their money, and also ourselves. However, they are tons available. So there are over 5,000 funds available on the industry that are compliant. And of course, it's our job to be looking for the best performance and the minimum charging paying fund, so that you would have a better performance overall in the end of the days.
Great. Now, the next question, I think you probably answered, because I mentioned it earlier, but we're going briefly back to the UK. It does look like we're heading into a more stable period. Is this stability going to be really good for investors?
Well, I have to say that in general terms, we, and I include myself, we don't like to be in our own uncertain times. So whenever it's something that just jumps up onto our lives, of course, you need to, few minutes, days or weeks in order to know what is going on and how you are approaching the situation. And I'm saying that that applies to any situation, financial, personal. So we need to take our time and sit back and then breathe and then say, okay, right, I can go onto that route in order to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. So stability is good for everybody in all senses. And we are facing recently, or from last year, probably the end of the year, the end of 2023, more stable times, also with the elections, because it's something that we know, as I mentioned already. So it's discounted from any performance or any volatility that we have in the market. So it's good to have, it's positive because we know what is going on, even though we do have still the wars around us, we do have the elections, we do have exchange rates, we do have certain things and geopolitical controversies, but we know that they are there and we can manage them. So my advice there is just, again, to keep and to be diversified within your investment and not to jump on, something that is attractive right in a second straight after that instability comes into your life.
Excellent. Steffi's got a good question. Are we better to speak to an independent financial advisor in the region that we're in? And is it advisable to move pensions from UK advisors to Spanish before retirement / drawing funds?
Replying to the first question, specifically in the region where you are, not necessarily. I mention usually Andalusia because I have found from experience that most of the viewers or followers that are watching us are coming to the south of Spain. Very unlikely, or I haven't seen much people going to Madrid or Catalonia. So it's mainly Andalusia, Baleares, Valencia. So those regions, of course, as I mentioned to you before, I always look for the AEIT.es website. I will send that link later afterwards.
I've made a note.
Yes, I will make sure that I do. In order to be watching, of course, the differences between certain taxes. But in general terms, I have clients in the Canary Islands, in the Balearics, in Valencia, couple in Madrid, Catalonia, mainly in Andalusia, of course, but because it's the best place to come to live, I have to say. But it's advisable to have a qualified and regulated financial advisor, most of all, I would say. And in regards to pensions, unless your UK financial advisor has permissions and is compliant with the European Union and regulated, they are not going to be able to carry on giving you financial advice. So that will stop. They are not able to do so. So that's where we take place. So that's where I work together with the UK financial advisor, because most of them, they do not have licenses here in Spain, and also the knowledge of our complicated and controversial system. So I work together with them for the transition of moving anything that you have from the UK to have it compliant with the Spanish system. Coming to, and very important that, I haven't mentioned that because I didn't have that here on my notes, so thank you for the question. Before the retirement and drawing funds, 100% you need to speak to a financial advisor located in Spain before doing anything with your pensions. Very important. Insofar as if you become tax resident, for example, this year in Spain, and you have taken your lump sum, your tax-free lump sum in the UK, and you are tax resident in Spain for this year, sorry to repeat myself, but that's very important, you are liable for income tax here in Spain for that amount. So it's tax-free in the UK, but not here. Please make sure that you do speak with a financial advisor before doing anything. From a pension point of view, from an ISA point of view, where you have tax reliefs back home, so anything that is tax relief in another country outside of Spain works differently and is taxable here in Spain the minute you become tax resident. Please make sure that you check that.
Good to know. E9 Hug says, yeah, Chris from Upsticks recommended an Apostille company to us for our NLV application. They were excellent, went above and beyond. Still waiting for our NLVs from Manchester. How long have you been waiting, by the way? Let's just have a report from everybody who's waiting for their non-lucrative visas to come through. It's always good to have an update on that from you. Mike Fisk says, Skatz, good to see you looking so well. Thank you, that's very kind of you to say. I don't feel too bad today, but it's the heat and the fatigue is getting to us all, I think, but yeah, especially to me. Anyway, that's why I'm keeping this show quite tight and on the hour today, and we only have a few more questions left, which is lovely. Mike says, a different Mike, my financial advisor in the UK says he can continue to advise me on investments I already have in the UK. Is this correct or not?
It could be. It's just to double check that they have permissions in Spain as well. So it's as I say, so Black Tower is regulated and licensed throughout the European Union and the UK because we have FCA license as well, and in Gibraltar. So I'm able, for example, from my point of view, I'm able to carry on giving financial advice to somebody that is moving back to UK as well, but because the Black Tower has the license. So that's what we need to check. So it's not that it's incorrect, of course. So, but it's very rare that a financial advisor or a company located in the UK with that FCA license has also license here in Spain, because it's very complicated to get the license. But I'm not saying that that's incorrect. Just double check it. No problem.
Yeah, check with. I would say, ask them. Ask to see their license.
And as I say, so the important bit here is just to have a good understanding of the tax system here in Spain. That's the key.
Very important. The Mike Fisk, the other, it's all Mikes today. One of the advantages of the Spanish system over the UK, for a few fortunate investors in Spain, you pay taxes for bank interest and certain investments in Spain on capital gains basis, not as income. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, from when you get a return from your deposits, the ones that I mentioned, for example, before, or you place money in a bank and it's giving you probably around 2% return, you get it net of taxes. So they pay to you the interest or the return net. So they pay on your behalf. That is what a compliant investment is. So if you go through a Spanish bank, they are paying on your behalf the capital gains tax that are due before you get the money. The same that we do within our compliant providers. You get the money net of taxes. So they pay everything on your behalf. They do all the reports that I mentioned before, the Modelos 720. They write information also in Spanish. So that's what happened. You get the rates paid net.
Great. Lolly P has a question that I've got a simple one-word answer to, but I'm sure you can expand on it. Would we be liable for tax on monies received from an insurance payout this May in the tax year next year in Spain, if we manage to get out there this year? This was a tax-free payout in the UK, and the simple answer is no. It's to do with when you become a tax resident, isn't it?
Yeah, my question was going to be, how long have you already been here in Spain during 2024? So if you've been already, for example, if she's been 4 months already and it's coming the last 2 months of the year as well, so altogether, potentially you would be liable for taxes. So if you would be classed as tax resident for 2024, then the answer would be yes. But as a non-resident for this year, nothing to do with you, with the tax authorities here. No.
There you go. A few reports about length of non-lucrative visa. Robbo's been waiting 6 weeks for London, and E9 Hug, this was Manchester. They only submitted the application 2 weeks ago, but they were told by Manchester BLS a minimum of 6 weeks, so early days yet. That does tend to be the minimum. If you get it in less than 6 weeks, then you're lucky. Steffi has a good question. If pension funds are moved to Spain, when it's time to draw the pension, do you have to buy an annuity, or can you draw down like in the UK?
Pensions are not to be moved to Spain. What is done is just make them compliant under the European Union regulation, which is for pensions, mainly is Malta. So the trustee would be set up in Malta in your name as a member, and then the investment platform would be located in Ireland. Okay, so those are the authorized jurisdictions that the HMRC have in place already for somebody that wants to move the pension outside of the UK. I don't know if you heard of the QROPS, which is a qualifying recognized overseas pension scheme, which is in place since 2006. So it's not that you bring in the money over to Spain. Spain doesn't have that facility as yet. But of course, as I said, Maltese trustee with a platform located in Ireland, of course, all together into the same investment. So we have online access 24/7 and so on. And then you are able to access the pension in exactly the same way that you do have in the UK. Also annuities, which is something that I personally don't advise, but of course you have access to annuities. Not when you are no longer UK tax resident. You don't have access to annuities in the UK. You have to be tax resident in the UK in order to set up an annuity. Okay. Then for the drawdown, exactly the same. So the rules are following the HMRC regulation for pensions in the UK. Drawdown, you can have a lump sum, but again, that is taxable. We don't have any tax-free pension income as you do in the UK. So make sure that you have had your 25% tax-free pension lump sum back home prior to becoming tax resident here, if it's what you wanted to do. If not, of course, any drawdown will be classed as income, and therefore you will need to complete your Modelo 100, which is the income tax modelo that I mentioned right at the beginning.
Great. Robbo's got a question about paying tax on your UK private pension. So would you pay tax on that in Spain? It's being taxed in the UK and will be paid into a Spanish account via a broker.
Yes. There is a double taxation agreement in place between Spain and the UK. However, if you are liable for taxes here in Spain, so you are tax resident here in Spain, and you have paid already taxes in the UK, what you do, or what your gestor will do, your accountant, they will offset what you have already paid back in the UK, but of course, according to the rules here in Spain, because don't forget that you will be Spanish tax resident, so you will need to comply with the Spanish authorities.
Mm-hmm. Great. Mike Ripper saying, is Malta safe? I heard that they're under investigation for irregularities, but don't know how true this is.
Well, I have to say that the regulator in Malta is very strict. As I mentioned earlier to Skatz before we went into the show, that we are now conducting another audit for clients within Black Tower with pensions and investments, because the regulators are on the top of every single changes that we make and every single dealing that we send, that complying with the risk profile that we have agreed with the client. They need to double check with the member in regards to a pension that what we send is correct, which I totally agree. So total transparency with the fees. So it's apart from our reports and our information from the Black Tower point of view and our recommendations that have to be made, of course, in writing, and sent to everybody. When we are signing the documents, the regulator and the providers located in Malta, as well as in Ireland, they need to make sure that you are aware of everything, and they always contact you just to make sure that you are aware that those are the fees for the funds, those are the funds that you are selling and buying, that is the amount that you are taking out. So believe me, it's becoming very, very strict. Every time more strict than it used to be. So as I said, since 2006, that facility for people that are no longer living in the UK is in place for pensions. And I have been 20 years in the industry, and I have seen from day one having that being improved, which is absolutely fine. From our point of view, it's a bit more admin work, but on the other hand, I totally agree that everybody has to be within the same information, within the same documentation, so that is clear from day one.
Good. Well, that is very good to know. Just a few final questions then. Is it a good time now to react quickly to take advantages of what opportunities might be available soon?
Well, as I mentioned before, we need to sit up and breathe whenever something is happening quickly, like the UK elections as we recently had, the US elections that we will have in the future. Diversification is key. Sorry to repeat myself, but that is what we need to have. So recently I received an email from one of the providers that we work with saying that telling us statistically what has been happening recently since 2020 with certain type of investment, with emerging markets investments, with bond market. So of course, last year, for example, it was a very bad year for emerging markets, and this year is a very good year for emerging markets. So it's good to have diversification and somebody that guides you behind all that, that tells you, okay, it's better just to be here or to be there, or let's spread a bit more the investments, because we have a lot of concentration into the US and the European Union. Why not to go onto bond market? I always recommend to avoid speculation. It was said when Trump won the elections that the global technology market was going to be going down. It didn't. It's all-time highs, I can say. Also, when Brexit happened, that is not good to be invested into the FTSE. Again, it's more or less pretty much all-time high. So speculation is not good for making a good decision from the financial or investment point of view. So it's always better to sit back and relax and have the funds or the money placed in the right location and with the right people or providers, together with the financial advisor, of course.
Mm-hmm. So are there any things that you can suggest as the best way forward for investors now? How can they best add value to what they have?
Well, if we are considering the indices that I mentioned before and the performances, as I said, since last year, it's been a good time to be invested, to keep in mind the long-term strategy. When I say long-term, I'm not talking about 20 years. I'm talking about around 3 years, 3 to 5 years is our financial long-term approximately. So to have that in mind. So we are avoiding any volatility that we have in the meantime, because we are always going to have a political issue. We are always going to have, unfortunately, we have now 2 going on to wars, and things that just come up and happen because that's the world, and we are people and human beings, and we like to fight sometimes, and we need that in our lives sometimes. So to be well diversified within the MSCI, for example, which is one of the indices that I mentioned earlier, which is top companies within the 23 developed markets, main developed markets. If you look back for 40 years, more or less, they have been, of course, they have been ups and downs, but overall there has been over 30 times that it has recovered from being an index low. So 75% of the times we have been on a positive return more than on a downside return. Of course, if we consider 2020 when we had the COVID, those 3 weeks where we didn't know what was going to be happening, yes, of course, we had a low, but remaining invested is what needs to be important. And of course, talking to the financial advisor and receiving the right information and the correct information also is my advice.
Great, good advice. That's all of the questions I have written down. If you've got any more live chat questions, I've seen your questions. Mark will come to those in a moment. But if you do have any more live chat questions, quickly get them up there. And while we're waiting for those questions to come in, because there's a time delay, let me just remind you that if you have any questions or comments after we go off the air, put them in the YouTube comments below, not on some random Facebook expat group, because that won't help anybody except for maybe just you. But if you put it in the YouTube comments, then everybody who watches this video, all the thousands of people who watch this in the future, will be able to get the answers too. So for absolutely for free. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top for the 4th time today. And I must say thank you once again, because they're lovely, to Black Tower for sponsoring this show. You can get your expert financial advice from absolutely their best advisor, Lucia, and the link is in the video description below. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming up each week on the live shows and the midweek videos. And let's get to Mark's question. First of all, he says he's thinking of moving to Costa Blanca later this year on a non-lucrative visa and buying a property outright. That's lovely. Check out loads of our videos for help and advice on that. We've had especially our property lawyer that we had on recently. He's going to be coming on soon, so it's always good to have a good one of those in the area that you're going to be based in. He's asking, can we leave our savings in a UK bank account if we move to Costa Blanca permanently on an NLV? Depends what bank you're with. If you're with Barclays, then they won't allow you to keep an account. If your residency is in Spain, there is a video that I brought out which tells you which banks will allow you to keep an account. The main thing is that most of those banks, even if they allow you to keep an account, they won't allow you to change any details on it. So if you wanted to even change a single digit on your surname, if it's been spelt wrong for years, then they definitely want the right name on the bank account when they look at it. If you give it in as part of your NLV, they'll want that. And if you change that name, then they'll regard that as a change of account. Then you won't be able to keep that account. So there are lots of little rules there, and I think I list quite a few of the ones that are okay or that will definitely consider it. So it's a matter of which bank that you're with. Do you know anything about that, Lucia?
Also there, just to add on what you just said, from the tax point of view, it depends. So first of all, to check up with your UK bank whether you are allowed to keep it. And also it depends on the type of savings account. It might be worth having a look at from the tax point of view, because here, don't forget that pretty much everything that you have or you used to have elsewhere becomes taxable and reportable.
Great. Robbo says, Lucia, should we bet on Spain to win the World Cup? And if so, by how much?
I was that close to wear my Spanish t-shirt. The Spain t-shirt. I didn't want to get into that, sorry.
I predicted the exact score that they would beat England by.
Oh, really? Well done.
In the Euros. Unfortunately, I didn't bet on it, so there you go. But Mike says, Robbo, I'd put a fiver on Spain winning the World Cup for sure. I'd put a lot more than that, to be honest. What a great team. Did us proud. Mike Ripper says, no UK bank will allow you to keep a savings account once you leave the UK. I thought when I made my video that some of them were, but then again, that was 6 months ago, and things may have changed. Steffi says, Skatz, thank you for having guests available to answer live questions. So glad I found this weekly show. I'm glad you found us too. So, That's all for the live chat questions, and that's all for all of the questions for now. Before we find out what exciting guest I have on next week's show, let's say a huge thank you to Lucia. Give her a massive virtual hug and a kiss, and we'll see you again in round about 3 months. We're not going to leave it. It might be slightly more than that, because we might wait till after the US elections results have been announced, because we'll have more information then. So can't wait to see you again soon. So
the same. Thank you very much for having me today.
You're very welcome. Bye bye for now. So who do we have on the show next week? Well, I'm sure you can guess, because he's on here every 2 weeks. It's our best mate Chris. You all know he's here every 2 weeks, so he'll be ready to give you the updates from the front line of immigration about visas and residency. We'll be focusing next week on piggybacking pensioners by popular demand. So if you don't know what I mean by that, well, just put it in your diary and watch. We'll have St John's Ambulance standing by. Don't forget, you can ask questions in advance on our Facebook page and group, or under any of the videos. Feel free to chat away and share your experiences of moving to Spain and living here. Thanks once again to all of you joining us on the live chat, for watching the video back afterwards and leaving comments, hitting the like button and supporting us with donations up the top there, and memberships. Yes, you can do a membership of this channel on YouTube. It's very much appreciated. I'll see you either on the midweek video, on the video diary, which is now on Still Alive, which is a separate channel, on Fridays, or live here on Saturday mornings at our regular time of, put the other teeth in, Skatz, of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or Portugal or the Channel Islands, or 10 o'clock in the morning if you're in Spain or Central Europe. Let's just have a look for the last of the little comments that are coming in. Mike Ripper says, current accounts, yes, but savings accounts, no. Interesting. Good. So that's the accounts that you can keep open, depending on the bank, of course. Thanks for that information, Mike. Robert says, Halifax will allow you to keep UK account while living in Spain. It's true that they are one of the ones who are allowing that. And Steffi says, great show again. Have a great week. Thank you very much. And have a great week to all of you. And somebody pass around the financial cookies. And peace and love. We'll say peace and love. And peas and fluff. And here's one final message from all of the voices in my head at YouTooSpain. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Goodbye, toodaloo,
Peace and love.
peas and fluff, oi oi, don't do anything I wouldn't do.
One more cosmic dance.
All right then, look mum, I'm dancing, oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.